concepts behind calibration, validation, sensitivity analysis? Do we all know? I want to know so that it will inform the depth of the discussion. If we all know, I would make it fast, but if we don't know, I will slow down. That's why I'm asking. I should slow down. Okay, so for the first days, we've been trying to work on our field. We've applied a lot of applications. Automatic irrigation, manual irrigation, we tried to apply fertilizer, we tried to use tractor, we tried to use horse. So at the end of the day, what is the motivation behind what we are trying to do? We know that we are just trying to set up a system here which will try to imitate as much as possible what we can observe on the field. So point number one, we are not expecting to have a perfect system, but we are expecting that the system that we would have should be as close as possible to the real system, what is on the ground, so that if we make projections, if we make suggestions, it shouldn't be too far away from what we would get if we were to be doing this all the time on the field. So that's basically the concept of modeling. You try to mimic what you can observe in reality. So after setting up our model, after going through all the processes, now it's time for, let's say, maybe moment of truth. How do we know whether our model is close to the reality or is deviating? So that's just the brain behind the concept of calibration validation. Okay. When we say we want to calibrate, we want to have a bit of observed data, real data sets that we have measured from the ground. Then we compare it to what our model is giving us. So for example, we are having yield data. We've seen that we have generated a lot of yield data. So now, how do we know if our yield data is making sense? So point number one, we need to have some form of data set that we can compare it with, right? And then after being able to compare it with, one will say that, okay, you brought in data from observed, you used your model, and you did things that you want to do to see what you want to see. That is why you are getting this perfect result. It's true. I've seen some manuscripts where calibration is like almost 100%, and then you see that the validation is far off, which brings us to the point of validation. So normally there are several ways of doing validation depending on what you are doing. So for yield, you might want to break your yield data into some different portions so that you use one to calibrate, where you try to play with some parameters, and at the end of the day after that you validate. So for this independent set of data sets, you do nothing. You just put it in and then compare and see. And the point is that in this system, there are so many parameters that we are working with. For example, if you are trying to grow tomato, if you are trying to grow corn, okay, you see that we have the surface runoff, you have the interception, you have all those things. So, for example, if your interception is high, you will see that it will translate to reduce availability of water for the crop and also runoff. But compared to if you have a bare area and the amount of rainfall coming in is hitting the crop directly. So these are the dynamics and the parameters that will inform your decision as to what to play with. So for example, if you have rainfall data set and then you go through all these processes and you see that after checking your calibration, you are having a lot of runoff, you would want to ask yourself, why is the runoff so much compared to the observed data set? So one, you can do calibration with runoff data. If you have runoff data from observed weather station, it's fine. In cases where we don't have runoff data, we use simulated data. Mostly in our lab, we work closely with the SWAT guys. So after working on their watershed, we are able to get stream flow data from them, which brings us to the point of how we do the integration. So we get flow data from them, we can get also some yield data from them, or we can get it from the stations, which is even the perfect way to go. But in the absence of that, we can make use of that. So we will just try to see how this works briefly before maybe we go for lunch, and then when we come, we go deeper into it. So like I mentioned, there are a lot of parameters which come into play. So before you do your calibration and validation, you would want to do sensitivity analysis. And by the term, it just says trying to figure out the most sensitive parameters that you would want to play with, right? If you have hundreds of parameters and you have no idea what is contributing to this, what is contributing to that, it can be time wasting, it can be frustrating. So what you would want to do is to do sensitivity analysis. And over the past years, we mostly use two main ways of doing the sensitivity analysis. So we have the local and the global. So when you look at the local sensitivity analysis, some people also would want to call it one at a time. So for example, if you have 5 parameters and you want to see which one is influencing your model or your results the much. So you have A, B, C, D, E, you can decide that I'm keeping these 4 constants and I'm trying to adjust this to see how it will affect my results. So you do it one at a time. If you see that this is not affecting it, then you mute this and you raise this. So you do it one by one until you have the most sensitive parameters and you work with them. So when you look at the global sensitivity analysis, there is a tool that we are going to look at very soon in the afternoon. So it can help you to run them at the same time and gives you a result of the most sensitive parameters. So you save time, the frustration, and the regression and everything. Is that point clear? So I see that my boss already mounted something for me. So maybe we would want to see how we arrived here so that in the afternoon. For this, you are already seeing that our observed data set is it flow. Yes. So for this one, we didn't have station data. So we got the flow from our SWAT guys, maybe a sub-basic number 1, 2, I don't know, we just did somewhere in the manual, you see the exact sub-basic area that you have those data sets from. And then, so the observed is the blue one, and then after our first simulation, this is what we have. So by just looking at it, can you say something? Like what do you see? Is it similar in a way? Is it far off in a way? Do we have to pay attention to this
It
result
captures
at all?
the trend.
Sorry?
The model captures the trend but not the magnitude.
Exactly. Perfect. So you see that the trend, the model has captured it, but the magnitude, you see that the model is it overestimating or underestimating the
Overestimating.
highly overestimating. So this brings us to the point of objective function. So whenever we do modeling, we would want to give some level of satisfaction. You know, we have ranges, we have percent bias, we have R squared, we have root mean square error, a lot of things. So normally, when you are doing such kind of studies, you have to, as much as possible, open your arms to the objective functions that you select. If you look at this model capturing the trend and you decide that, oh, I measured it against R squared and it was 92. Somebody without looking at the details will say, oh, what a perfect model. You see, R squared is capturing it. But when you look at the P bias, for example, overestimation or underestimation, you would have a percentage which will tell you that, no, this is wrong. So, also by looking at this, you can have an idea, if you are used to modeling studies, you can have an idea of even the parameters to look at. So, for example, the canopy interception, right? So, because we are having too much runoff, what we have to do is to try to reduce the runoff. So, even before you go into the sensitivity analysis, you should know that You have to aim to just reduce. As for the trend, it's captured, so it's perfect. So our aim will be to try to reduce the runoff. And for example, if we increase the interception, it's a way of reducing what is coming in, so we can reduce the runoff a bit. So let's just see how we got here. Then when we come in the afternoon, we will continue. I can go and do that. We plot this one. I know that we still have some unsolved problems, but try to forget them and then later we will solve all our problems. Okay, so we go to our folder that we got. So we are interested in calibration. Okay. So we have our okay, this is not for you. So this is our flow data set that we got from our SWOT guide. So from sub area 95. So this is now our observed flow. We are going to compare it with the flow that we get from the run. So for this exercise, we will just run from our apex site and then try to see the flow that we will get and then compare it with, okay? Or just so the Apex editor within the calibration. Okay, so let's see what we have. One. This is why it's here. Okay, so one thing we have to keep in mind. So let's just run. Okay, so this is just to try to establish our first simulation against the observed. Then we will know how to go about our calibration, validation, sensitivity analysis, having in mind the first picture that you see. So it depends on what you see, then you will start thinking about, okay, sensitivity analysis, if I want to do manual calibration, what to do here and there. So the very first one is very important. So I see that we ran successfully. So just in case you want to see the, let's check both. So this was run from 84 to 2012. No irrigation. So the discharge will be our Q. Right? Oh, six volts. So it's shift on, and then I bring it down.
You copied the water here?
Yes. Okay, and it's from, I'm trying to check the year to be sure. 85 to, I think, 2012. I don't check this. 85 to 2012. So depending on your observed data, okay, our work is easy because it's also from 84. I think it's the same period. Yes. So this is our observed now. In monthly. The observed flow is, yes, so it's fine. Yeah, I know. This is annual. So we just have to get, yes. So this is our monthly flow. So annual flow. We'll come back to it. Okay, so this may not be necessary, but I think that it's nice if we know how to. I'm sure we know. So we want to be able to compare with our observed flow. This is on a monthly time scale, and then our simulation one came with
Annual.
annual. So do we know the shortcuts of getting it to annual? I'm sure we know, but for the sake of those who don't know, so it's that simple. If we know it, then this may not be necessary for us, but if not, then it's useful. So we have it in the annual form, copy, bring it to join this labor. I'm happy that you are interested in that.
ያው አላመለጠችኝም 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 ይዣታለሁ። እንትን ፒቮት ቴብል ነው ያደረገችው። እንትኑን ይሄንን አስተካክላ ይሄን ፒቮት ቴብል እዚህ ጋር ይሄኛውን ሰሌክት ይደረግና ይሄኛውን እንደዚህ ሰሌክት ይደረግና ይሄን ፒቮት ቴብል ይባላል። ከዛ በኋላ ኤግዚስቲንግ ተብሎ እዚህ ጋር ሰሌክት ይደረግለት። አሁን ለምሳሌ የፈለኩትን ሪዛልቱ መንዝሊ ፍሎ ይሄ ፍሎ ነው በፈለኩት በአመት ነው። ስለዚህ አመቱ እንደዚህ ስመጥለት ይመጣል። በዚህ ኤክሴል
Okay, you tell me that. That now it's my right.
ቪዲዮውን ይመስላል ቪዲዮ ስላለ ከፋይል ነገር እዚሁ ጋር ይሄኛውን ይችኛውን ቀጥታ ኮፒ የተደረገ ነው። በየአመቱ በየቀኑ ነው ያለው። በየወሩ ነው ያለው። ስለዚህ ይሄኛውን ኢንሰርት ላይ ገብቼ ፒቮት ቴብል ስለው የሰሌክት ያደረኩትን ይመጣል እዚህ ጋር። ከዛ ይሄን ፒቮቱ የት ላስቀምጥ ይለኛል። ኤግዚስቲንግ ሺት ነው እዚህ ጋር ይመጣል። ስመርጥለት ይሄ ይመጣል። ይሄ ሲመጣ ምን የሚፈልገው ቫልዩ ሰሙን ነው ያመጡ። ስለዚህ በዚህ ጋር አመት በዚህ ጋር ደግሞ በየዘመኑ ራሱ ሰርቶ ያመጣል። ስለዚህ አሁን እዚህ ጋር ይሄኛውን ቫልዩ ይሄ ሰም ነው አይደል? አሁን አፍሪጅ ቢፈልግ ይሄንን ፊልድ እዚህ ጋር ቫልዩ ፊልድ ቢየው አፍሪጅ ልለው ይችላል። አቨሬጅ ነው። ኦልሞስት ቴምፕሬቸር ቢል እና ማክስ የሚሰራ ሰው ቢሆን እዚህ ጋር ቴምፕሬቸር ጋር መጥቶ ማክስ ሊለው ይችላል። ማክስ
No one than us created. So when we come back from lunch, we'll try and see
ያቀላል
how we can go on with our calibration validation to ensure that we have reasonable results.
but you remain silent. You remain silent. Okay. Is that 30? Yeah. You are 30. You get tired?
So we have two options in doing calibration. As Pat explained, you need to, adjust some parameters so that you can reach the optimum result for water balance and also later on for crop yield, because the water balance component also have an effect on the crop yield. first we need to start from water balance and then go to nutrient balance and then for crop yield. So the normal procedure in calibrating crop yield is first you need to adjust the other balances, the water balance first, and you need to have also some appropriate estimations of erosion, and that means the sediment and the nutrient balance. Once these all are satisfied, we may look at some of the crop parameters. So this all is not to modify the crop parameter. We just see the process and try to capture the crop yield by adjusting the process. Because this parameter comes at the cost of a lot of funds. Okay, so one of one of the way that we can calibrate is to use the automatic calibration.
شفتنا
To
قالت هي
automatic calibration tool, and the other is to use manual calibration.
شطرول شفت
Okay. So if you see the manual, and there is also a user manual for Apex Cube. Apex Cube is a tool to do the automatic calibration. Okay, and there are description about the Apex Cube, and make sure you all have read this. Okay, these are the choice of Apex parameters. There are multiple other parameters as well, but this helps you to minimize your choice in the automatic calibration. And also, you can see that which parameters are controlling which process. So, for example, if you are interested in runoff, adjusting the runoff process, okay, the parameter here which are responsible for runoff are here. It also depends on the choice of the methods of runoff competition that we selected already or use default method in the control file, right? The method for ET, the method for runoff are all in the control file. So for example, if the runoff method is curve number method, then these parameters are very influential and responsible for adjusting this runoff. They will have a significant factor, the curve number, and the other parameters here are responsible. And these are the range of the parameter, and these are the default values. And if green and up method was used, then this parameter is also influential. Okay. And if you like to adjust the evapotranspiration, so again, potential evapotranspiration, it depends on the methods of estimation. If you use, for example, Hargreaves method, then parameter 34, which is the exponent of the Hargreaves method. So it is mostly temperature-based method. The exponent plays a significant role in adjusting the evapotranspiration. If Feynman parameter 1, which is canopy factor, potential evapotranspiration factor, is responsible. For actual evapotranspiration, you have the soil evaporation coefficient, parameter 12, and evaporation plant cover factor 70. If you like to do also the irrigation, if used, you need to also see the irrigation efficiency. Okay, efficiency also could be a point of uh, calibration because whatever we apply will not reach to the flow. So similarly, continue for the different process for base flow, hydraulic flow, erosion. All these are uh, important. And then for nutrients cycling, nitrogen and phosphorus cycling, these parameters are more responsible for adjusting this nutrient cycling. And carbon cycling, these two parameters are very important. And for crop adjustment, as I said before, first we need to exhaust this thing before we modify the crop parameters. And after we exhaustively look to the other water balance component, we may come to this crop database to modify slightly based on literature values. Okay, most of the time the literature values use this biomass energy ratio, harvest index. I mean, this one is the harvest index, optimal temperature, base temperature, and this is the maximum potential peak area index. So up to here. Okay, most of the time literature use these uh, 8 parameters to slightly modify and come up with reasonable estimation of the protein. Okay. So coming to the calibration, okay, the calibration tool is Apple skill. If you install it in day one, you should get it here, mostly in locality C, or it could be also in locality B, right? You can just check it where you install it. Okay, this is the uh, Apex field files, and we are going to adjust some folders and files and make sure you follow carefully why and what we are adjusting here. So here is the observed folder. Here is where we put the observed file that we have. Okay. In observation, if you open it, you have hydrology and height, daily time set. Okay. This is if you like to adjust the hydrology balance or water balance on a daily basis. Okay, if you open it, for example, if you open this, then you have this page on a daily basis, and one at the end here, where is it? One at the end here refers to the sub area number. Okay, you are calibrating that in sub area 1, so we can call it 1. So these all are for daily in different sub areas. So if you see, you can provide flow in millimeter or meter cube per second, and there is also a possibility to calibrate surface runoff only. Okay, you can calibrate for stream flow or surface runoff. Okay, so if you don't have values for either of the two, or for example, if you have flow in millimeter, then you provide negative 999 for the recurrence that you don't have the value. And no save. And this is for monthly, the same, but this for monthly time step, and this is for annual time step. Okay. The other is also for daily, for example, water quality parameters and monthly water quality parameters are you are interested in the nutrients. So sediment is also considered as the water quality parameter in Apex. So you have sediment, calibration, total nitrogen, total phosphorus, mineral nitrogen, organic nitrogen, mineral phosphorus, organic phosphorus, and this one is what? I don't know. This is I think about pesticides.
Yeah, TPS.
So mostly we use the sediment from this part, but if you are interested in the different nutrients and if you have the data, you can also calibrate for all those parameters. Okay. So for now, let's say we have the annual data. Okay. Observed flow. Let's say we have that observed flow for annual values. Okay, let's copy this from the observed flow. Copy and then go to the folder. To the observed folder, it is annual. So in the sub area 1, we have sub area number, right? From the Apex editor, you remember in the sub area, that is sub area number 1.
Yeah.
So we are using sub area number 1. So this is annual. So we are using flow in millimeter. Apex special values. You can see the start date is 1984, 1984, 1985. Goes up to 2000 here. Okay. And then the rest, I don't have data. For example, let me put negative 999 for every record. So now have provided my observer stream flow data to the to this Excel sheet, and make sure we save and close it. So we have provided our observer data. Okay. So now this is our observer data. In this text in our file, we are going to bring, okay, what we have in our simulation. Whatever simulation you have, you bring here in this text in our file. Okay. So for now, let us keep, okay, this apex check, apex xe. So let me control A from this text in our file and leave only the editor and the exe file. So I don't need the other files. So I'm going to bring my own, right? So
Apex check will.
it's not there.
Yeah, it's not there.
It's fine. It's just to check the annual water balance component. It should appear when you install it, but if not available, I will show you how it works. This is just to see the annual water balance component, and let's say you have this and run it. So finish. No, let me run it again. provided. So it should have been it's providing values. Yeah, just run it again. So it provides some values here about the simulation period, watershed areas, and if you go to the water balance tab, it gives you just rough estimation for the whole period. What the classification, uh, okay, runoff ET, the other water balance component. And if you have also here the base flow to total flow ratio, stream flow to precipitation ratio, and yeah, some sediment estimations, initial estimations of the sediment, nitrogen balance, volume, and else. So it just meant provided to give you some general information about that simulation. Doesn't help you to do calibration, but it gives you some idea of what is the total amount of stream flow, what is the total amount of ET uh, from that simulation. So let me do Control A and just let me. So I'm going to exclude from deletion these 4 files. Okay.
Project. Ah, ya, የለም አዎ አንተ ጋር እንዴት ከዛ ጋር ይጨምራል ድጋሚ ልጫነው እንዴ ዶክ አፔክስ ቼኩን ድጋሚ ልጫነው አፔክስ ኪው
Now process will take.
እሺ
So for 5. Now let me go to my folder here in the training folder, the calibration file from the Apex side. This is my side that I would like to calibrate. This is the data is meant for observed flow and others. So there's also a Apex check here right now. So if it is here, I can just copy everything. Okay. For C and bring it back to the Apex Q directory here, and I'm pasting it here. Make sure it is running. Good so far? Jalan? Here project text in our file. So this is the default text in our file before. Okay. So I remove it all and then bring my text in out file that I would like to calibrate. Is that clear? So that file comes from where from this training material with the calibration there is apex side. So this one is the one that I bring it here in the apex cube directly and paste it. Huh? You say what? Okay.
አሁን አፕኤክስኪዩት ነው ማስነሳት አፕኤክስኪዩት ነው ቼክ የሚለውን ማስነሳት
ፋይሉ እኮ የለም አጣጣራ
አይደለም ያኛውም አለ ኦብዘርቭድ የሚለው አለ
አይደለም ማለት ቴክስቲን አውት ውስጥ ያሉትን አጥፍታል እና አሁን ካልብሬሽን ያለውን ካልብሬሽን የሚለው ውስጥ ያለውን ፎልደር አምጣቸውና እዚህ ላይ ፔስት አድርግ So the procedure is just you copy this calibration in Apex side, everything from here, and paste it to the Apex keys directory in the project. There is text in our file. First you have to delete the previous one and come paste it. And you can check that it is running by just double click on the Apex 0806.
ቼክ ማድረግ ነው ማኑዋል ኢንፎርሜሽን
ረነር ጌር የመጣው
Shall we move?
Yeah.
Okay. Huh? once you did that, there are a couple of things that we need to provide. Okay, so in this project file, you need to go to tool setting. If you get the tool setting, just open it.
Ya, zero couch it. Zero folder.
So if you open it with Notepad, you can see that there are a couple of things here. So first one is application size parameter. So this is after different reality 0.2, and this is a value that will be the interval that will be used to sample different parameters for calibration. So the first it samples, and then with this interval we try different values. So we'll just use the same, and 500 is the maximum numbers of iteration during calibration. So most of the time we use large numbers of iteration during calibration. But for this exercise, we can use like 100 numbers of iteration. So this is also how you like to sample. Okay, use random sampling or default values in the parameter. Meaning when it takes sample for the parameter values, the first one use just random sampling between the minimum and the maximum value of the parameters. And the second one uses the default value of the parameter that as a starting point. Okay, instead of using random sampling. Okay, let's use the random sampling. And you can say that new calibration or continuous calibration or new calibration. And these are the different numbers of run for sensitivity analysis. So N is the sensitivity analysis initial sample size. Okay, and number of model runs will be based on this equation. For example, if you use Morris and if you provide N here 100, so the number of model runs will be 100 times P plus 1. P is the number of parameters that you selected for sensitivity analysis. And for this is for other types of sensitivity analysis. So to save our time, also let us use the relatively smaller size so that we can reduce our model run. Is it okay so far?
Yeah.
So once you are done with this, just you close it. I mean, you save it and close it. That is for tool setting. And the other file that we need to adjust is the configuration file config.dat. Config.dat. Here also we have to adjust some uh, variables. Okay. This one you just provide, in the first one you just provide the outlet or sub area number. So while calibrating sub area one, just we leave it there. And the second parameter is the second row, let me say. It ranges from 1 to 0 to 9, depending on the type of calibration variable that you like to do. 0 is for surface runoff, 1 is for flow, 2 is for sediment, and then it continues for different nutrients. So since we have the same flow now, let's say we are calibrating for flow, right? 1. The third row is referring to the time step for calibration. Okay, daily, monthly, or annual types of calibration. Now, if you remember, our observed data is annual that we have. For annual calibration, we use Y. Okay, and these are the performance indicators of our calibration. Okay, you might use uh, different one. Okay, if you use but it will give some more weight. You know, for example, if we use one that is based on nitrogen substitution efficiency, we mostly use for stream flow the nitrogen substitution efficiency. So weight of performance indicator is the objective of function. Let's use one because we may uh, want to have that significant value. And these are the apex output file, okay, that we like to uh, run our model. So this is the watershed file, this is the rich file, and this is the profile file. Okay. So if you have one that's rich file, but for sub area we use watershed file, that's the sub area file. So let's make it 0. And this is a period for calibration. Okay. So data, for example, it runs from 1984 to 2012. Okay. This is our observed data, right?
Yeah.
So we might use, for example, so the I mean the common use is just used to search for calibration, right? And one search is for validation, right? So our run starts from where?
1994.
1990. Is that?
Yes.
Our run starts from 1990. Is that 1990 or 2000?
1990.
Uh, the one in the calibration folder. And let me see. Start from 1984 through to 2012, all the way to 2012. So, where is I was in the configuration file,
Yeah.
and so let's use from 1984 to where? 2006. What? So let's also leave some period for warm up. So let's, for example, use from 1990 to 2006. So first you write the year and month and day. and the ending year here is 2006, for example. And this one is to use or not to use constraints. Constraints are, you constrain your parameter not to exceed some values. Okay. If you provide to use constraint here, you need to modify some other folder, file, so that you provide the constraint so that that parameter during calibration will not pass that constraint. You know, if zero, then the model simulation will not be constrained. So it will go beyond, between minimum and maximum values. So this is zero. But if you like to use constant, uh, set this one. I'm going to show you if you like to use constant here. There is a constraint Excel file here. So constraint Excel file. So if you like to use constraint, for example, this is also possible. The potential evapotranspiration PET should not be out of this bound, for example, or the base flow index should not be out of this bound, or the crop yield should not exceed out of this bound. So if you decide to use constraint in the folder, in the configuration file, you need to provide your list of constraints here and then provide the value here. Okay. So for now we don't use constraint. So we provide the configuration file, right?
Yeah.
That's fine up to there. Okay. The other is we need to go to parameter calibration file. In the parameter calibration file, you have a whole list of parameters. Huh? You have the whole list of parameter file, and some of the parameters are not in the parameter list. Remember, let me go to the editor. Okay, so in the editor, if you remember, these are the list of parameters, the parameter file, right? So yesterday that these are the list of parameters, right? These are found in the parameter file. So if you go to calibration file, it gives you list of parameters which are available in the parameter file. But there are also other parameters which are present in the control file, in the soil, in the sub-area file that you may like to uh, do calibration. Okay, so for example, uh, Sato, for example, is in the control file. It says in the control file, if you go to control file, you get Sato around here. Sato is a saturated conductivity adjustment factor. We like to adjust the saturated conductivity. You can provide it also as a calibration parameter. Similarly, you have the OPC file, the operation file, in the sub area file, in the soil file, and other files as well. So, but make sure that you have seen the Apex Qt manual, which are most dominant affecting parameters, right? For runoff, for potential evapotranspiration, and others. So this is a lot of parameters. We need to have some refinement from the literature and from the manual. Okay. So now let's so you know what, if you like to include it in the calibration, you need just to do you write it one. If you like the parameter not to be included in the parameter, I mean the calibration, you write 0.
Okay.
So at the current state all are 0. So we need to select some parameters that are very significant for flow. Okay. So you can refer to the manual. But I have some of them in my mind. So parameter 12 is one of the important factor. Okay, you have parameter 20 is very important factor for stream flow. Parameter 40 is very important. 42, 12, 20, 40, 42, 49, then 90 and 92. 90 and 90. So these are all parameters listed in the parameter file. But from the other file, we also need this the what?
Carbon. Carbon.
Curve number.
Yeah, but you know the other parameters are responsible for the parameters to be adjusted here. It's not like SWOT. In SWOT, you can directly modify and that will affect the stream flow. But here also you can do the same, but other parameters will influence the curve number to change as well
Okay.
in Apex. But you can also include it just to see where is the curve number. Yeah. Okay. And what else are the parameters from here? Oh my God. After selecting all, RF, PO, RFPO, SATO, and yeah, so parameter 92, 90, and uh, 49,
41,
42,
41,
41, okay, 40,
20,
20,
12.
12,
Then after curve number.
there is
CL2,
also FEM,
FEM. Okay.
FEM, and let's see, cut number.
APM.
So these are filtered now. Now you can write one for this parameter to be included in the calibration. Let's just give it an answer. Now you can do you can undo the filter and save it. Save the parameter that you already selected. And the last First one, note the list in the Apex out. No Apex calibration pass. Apex pass. Notepad.
Yeah.
Make sure that this file is the same that I saved my file. See Apex Qt project. See Apex Qt project. If you have a different one, just copy from here and paste it here. So make sure the project that you have in this file directory is the same as the one the Apex has with that. Yeah, these are most of the files that we adjust for calibration. Okay, do you like to go for calibration or do you like to go for lunch now?
Calibration guys,
Huh?
the photo which you get about this.
Okay. Then, so people are waiting for more pictures over here.